We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity for legacy partners and specifically about sales. And so Luke is running into a challenge, and this is a crazy training session for just for learning how to go ahead and schedule appointments. And so Luke, and then also communications, and then also leadership too. So Luke jumped on this morning and we went ahead and he said, I want to schedule more appointments. Okay. So what I need to do is I need to find out information. So what does that mean? Is it because he's not making enough quantity of calls? But he said he talked to 12 people yesterday and he didn't schedule one appointment. Then I asked him, did you go ahead and, look at these previous ones? And he said he did. It's like, okay, good. If he talked to 12 and he didn't schedule one, yeah, that should be. How many should you schedule? I don't know. Maybe, and I might know. I would say you want to schedule at least a third of the appointment. So if you talk to 12 people, you should schedule at least, 3 or 4 appointments. Some will schedule even more. We need to study the ones who schedule more, a higher percentage, and find out why, like reverse engineer them. So then I say, so what are you saying? And so let's quickly go through that one more time. So Luke, what are you saying when you talk to them?
When they first pick up, I tell them my name and I say that I'm from a construction. I'm in construction, but I'm part of a mastermind group that's made of a whole bunch of different business owners, and that we're surveying local businesses. And I was curious if I could ask them a couple
Okay, so
questions.
here's one thing you can do. Insert into that. And we're part of a local mastermind group. We get together once a month. If you're calling local people, whatever. But then what you're looking for is your business currently accepting new leads?
Okay.
So insert that, and that'll just absolutely change everything. Is your business currently taking on new clients or taking on new leads? Are you taking on new clients now? Or would you, if you got referrals, from other business owners, would you go ahead and, would you take those? Are you taking on new clients at this time? Probably the best, but you can try, different ones. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the lessons to be learned is when you're doing phone calling, when you're doing sales, it's one little tiny itty bitty thing. It's one small thing. It's a voice. It's a nuance. You might be like 3 feet from gold. You might just be 3 inches, 1 inch, one word, one phrase, one pause, one thing away from success. Don't give up. But it's crazy how precise it needs to be. Okay. Then what do you do?
Then I ask them if I may ask them a couple questions, and usually they say yes. Then I ask them, with your business, what is your biggest
You
challenge in
ask
any?
them one, a couple questions.
Yeah.
What kind of questions do you ask them?
I ask them for their BC and their.
Okay. So it might be better just to go ahead and role play with me. So you just go ahead. So you ask them their biggest challenge. So how you ask the question, it needs to go ahead. That means everything. It's not just asking the question, but how you ask the question is really important.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you ask them biggest challenge. How do you ask them the biggest challenge question?
I mean, sometimes it's not always the same. Sometimes, most of the time,
When you're building
I'm
an RV,
curious.
do you always the same model? Do you always do the same thing?
Yes,
Why?
because it's the more efficient.
What's the best way and most efficient way to do it? Why wouldn't you apply that same principle to this?
Probably be best too.
Yeah. Now, if you're trying out 3, 4, 5, 6 different approaches to see which one's working, well, then you might try on a prototype. in a prototype, they're going to adjust things. The prototype and the final product are almost never the same. So they're trying different things to see, what's the best value for the client, and then what's the most efficient, cost effective, most productive way to go ahead and do that. So you're doing the same thing. So go ahead and, just come up with one of the ones. I mean, obviously the 12 isn't working. So you might try 3 or 4 or 5 the same way, 6 the same way. And then if that doesn't work, then you do another, change it up, but give me something.
I was curious, or what is your biggest challenge in your business?
If you're asking it like that, I totally understand why they're not giving you the answer. They're like, this guy's in high school. He doesn't know, he's a rookie. I mean, they might give you something out of pity.
Gotcha.
And so it probably, now sometimes that works actually. Sometimes that's really effective. If it works, it works. And so, so after you go ahead, if you blend in what I said on, are you taking on new clients at this time? And they say, well, yeah. And you say, I'm just curious. I don't know if the group would be best for you or not, but what would you say the biggest challenge you're facing in any area of your business might be? And so it's tight. It's like, what would you say the biggest challenge you're facing in any area of your business right now? And then they'll tell you and go, that's interesting. Tell me more. Like you have to, when your voice has to, otherwise they're not going to trust you. Like if you don't convey that you're interested, if your voice, you might be interested, but if you don't convey it, it doesn't count. It's just like with a young woman. If you love her and you tell her you love her, I love you. If that's not going to convey, you got to convey interest through your voice. That, that's interesting. Like, tell me more. And then they tell you more. You don't have to probably even ask the love help on. You just go ahead and get biggest challenge and they tell me more. Then they'll tell you more and you go, that's interesting. And you got to do that. You go, and I look down, like I'm thinking, I think there's a member in the group that actually could give you some input on that. When would be a good time to schedule? That's called the assumptive close.
Gotcha.
You got so it's magical. I mean, it's absolutely magical when it's done right. Because it doesn't seem like it's scripted. It seems like it's spontaneous. It seems like it's beautiful. It seems like it's like, wow. And it's magical when it flows. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so try those small tweaks. And then let's come back tomorrow. Try those small tweaks. And then go ahead and try those small tweaks. And then let's come back tomorrow and see if that worked. If it doesn't work, we tweak it again. If it doesn't work, we tweak it again. But the key is it's really important for you to know what you're doing, because if you don't know what you're doing, when it works, you're not going to be able to reproduce it again. You got to be able to reproduce the success time and time again. So where you make your money in business and sales is figuring out what works, what brings value to the customer, and then doing that over and over and over again and again and again. So when we went ahead and I did the business x-ray review, which comes after the 30-minute strategy session. So she asked before she sat in, she said, is this going to be the same thing I did with Kenny? I said, oh no, this is different. Kenny did the interview. I'm going to do the review of that. She's like, oh, cool. I'll be on it. Okay, great. And so at the end of that, I said, so what'd you think of it? And she said, I want to do what you just did. So there's something in her, it might be the teacher in her, might be the woman in her, might be the personality in her. I don't know. There's something in her that it's like, I want to do that. She lit up, like she got excited. She's like, I want to do what you just did. So she's going to do it with passion. And I said, oh, it's so cool what I just did. I've been doing it for 33 years. So how do you do something for 33 years and still be excited like it's the very first time you did it, except it's even better than the first time because you actually know what you're doing and all these little nuances. It's like it was magical. So I'm excited for you, Luke. Keep it up. So every day we come back and we'll just keep tweaking it until you get that system down. So good work. Thank you, sir.